While Kenneth Okonkwo was on national television accusing Peter Obi of bribery, threatening a 5 billion naira defamation suit, and warning that suing him would be very unwise, a video went viral from Atiku Abubakar's house in Abuja. In it, you can see Kenneth Okonkwo sitting on the veranda, outside, not in the meeting room, not at the table, on the veranda, laughing, trying to shake hands with Rotimi Amaechi as he arrives, the same Rotimi Amaechi who goes inside to meet Atiku Abubakar while Okonkwo remains where he is. And online, Atiku supporters themselves are commenting. One says, "I don't like where they kept Mazi Kenneth Okonkwo. He is supposed to be the incoming VP. Why is he sitting on the veranda?" Another says, "Kenneth laughing away like a slave forcing an unsolicited handshake from a man who remains very bitter." The man who burned his relationship with Peter Obi, the man he served as national spokesman for 3 years, went to Atiku Abubakar's house and sat on the veranda. That image is the story, not because of the embarrassment it represents, but because of what it reveals about the political calculation Okonkwo made, the price he paid, and what it means for the 2027 Obi-NDC versus Atiku-ADC battle. Before we go further, if you're new here, Niger Brief exists for one reason: to give Nigerians the political analysis that mainstream media won't. Whether you're in Abuja, Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, or London, this channel is for you. Hit subscribe and stay with me. This gets deeper. Who Kenneth Okonkwo was. To understand the veranda, you have to understand what Okonkwo gave up to get there. Kenneth Okonkwo was Peter Obi's national campaign spokesman during the 2023 presidential election. He was on television almost every day for 8 months, defending Obi's record as governor, attacking PDP and APC, building the public narrative of Obi as the clean hands candidate. He had access, he had credibility, he had a national profile that the obedient movement gave him. After the 2023 election, Okonkwo stayed close to Obi's political orbit. Then, in February 2025, he announced he was leaving the Labour Party. He joined the ADC. When Obi himself joined the ADC in December 2026, Okonkwo was already there. But when Obi left the ADC for the NDC in May 2026, breaking up the Ibadan Declaration Opposition Coalition, Okonkwo did not follow. He stayed. He joined the ADC's National Working Committee, and he turned on Obi with everything he had. He called Obi and Kwankwaso political conmen. He said the NDC was a Tinubu creation. He predicted Obi would lose the entire Southeast. And then on June 8, 2026, he went on Channels News' Sunrise Daily and crossed a specific line. He alleged that Obi and NDC Southeast leaders collected 10 million naira bribes from every House of Representatives aspirant in the party. The lawsuit that changed the week. Obi's lawyers filed a demand letter within 24 hours. 5 billion naira in damages. Public retraction with equal prominence across all platforms. Written undertaking against further statements. 7 days to comply or face a formal lawsuit. Okonkwo's response was defiant. He released what he described as WhatsApp chat evidence. He called the lawsuit very unwise. He warned that if the case goes to court, he may disclose privileged information from his time as Obi's campaign spokesman. He said publicly, "It will be a shame to Peter Obi and his lawyers if they do not take this case to court." But then, Ogbunike Ohaegbu, the aspirant Okonkwo named as his source, appeared on national television and said he never told Okonkwo that Peter Obi personally asked him for money. He confirmed paying 10 million naira to an NDC account, but said it was the party's national secretary who asked for it, not Peter Obi. His exact words were, "Peter Obi never told me to pay 10 million naira. I never told Kenneth Okonkwo that Peter Obi in any way told me to pay 10 million naira." And then, while all of this was playing out publicly, the Veranda video emerged. The Veranda, what the video actually shows. The video is from Atiku Abubakar's home in Abuja. Former Transportation Minister and two-time Rivers Governor Rotimi Amaechi arrives. He is received. He goes inside. Okonkwo is visible on the veranda outside the main reception area. He attempts to engage Amaechi as he passes. The interaction is brief. Amaechi continues inside.
The context is important. This visit is part of the ADC's post-primary political consolidation. Atiku is now the ADC's presidential flag bearer. Amaechi is a significant figure in that conversation, being positioned as a potential Director General of the Atiku campaign. Okonkwo had publicly argued for months that Atiku and the ADC represented the genuine opposition and that he expected to play a senior role in that political project. The video showed something else. It showed the gap between media utility and political standing. You are useful to a political operation when you are attacking the enemy. You sit at the table when you are shaping strategy. The video suggests Okonkwo's role in the Atiku camp is the first of those things, not the second. He is a weapon, not an architect, and weapons are not invited to the same room as the generals. This matters for the 2027 calculation. Okonkwo has repeatedly signaled the expectation that his support for Atiku will be rewarded a senior role, perhaps a vice presidential position, perhaps a ministerial slot. The Veranda suggests those expectations may not be shared by the people who make those decisions. What Okonkwo's position actually is inside the ADC? Let us analyze this honestly. Okonkwo is an ADC National Committee member. That is a real position. He has been deployed as one of the most visible media voices, and he has been effective at generating noise and putting the NDC on the defensive. He is using inside knowledge from the 2023 Obi campaign to craft attacks that hit where they hurt most. But the Veranda video exposes the gap between media utility and political standing. You are useful to a political operation when you are attacking the enemy. You sit at the table when you are shaping strategy. The video suggests Okonkwo's role in the Atiku camp is the first of those things, not the second. He is a weapon, not an architect, and weapons are not invited to the same room as the generals. This matters for the 2027 calculation. Okonkwo has repeatedly signaled the expectation that his support for Atiku will be rewarded a senior role, perhaps a vice presidential position, perhaps a ministerial slot. The Veranda suggests those expectations may not be shared by the people who make those decisions.
Here is the political irony that makes this story nationally significant. The same week that Okonkwo was on television delivering the most damaging attack yet on Peter Obi's NDC presidential candidacy, accusing the candidate of bribery on national television, threatening legal consequences, releasing evidence. His own political standing in the camp that paid for those attacks was demonstrated publicly to be that of a man on the veranda. The most effective anti-Obi operative of 2026 is not inside the room where Atiku's 2027 strategy is being built. What this means for the Obi-Atiku battle. The Obi-Atiku contest is not just a presidential election rivalry. It is a battle over which political project represents the genuine alternative to Tinubu and the APC in 2027. Both candidates need to win the argument that the other is not credible, not clean, and not capable of delivering the Southeast and the Northwest simultaneously. Okonkwo has been Atiku's sharpest instrument in making the anti-Obi argument, but his effectiveness as an attacker comes at a cost. It has made him too divisive, too identified with one specific vendetta to be credible as a future government figure. The Igbo community, which is watching this dispute closely, is increasingly reading Okonkwo's attacks not as principled political opposition, but as what one commentator called a barely disguised anti-Igbo agenda that serves someone else's interests at Igbo expense. That perception is politically damaging for Atiku, not just for Okonkwo. If the NDC's Southeast strategy rests significantly on the credibility of a figure who is being described by his own former colleagues as a quisling and as someone operating on a script written for him by the powers that be, that strategy has a visible credibility problem in the very region where both Atiku and Obi need to make gains against Tinubu. The Ohaegbu complication and the NDC's gap. But let us be analytically honest. Okonkwo's personal embarrassment does not resolve the underlying question he raised.
Ohaegbu confirmed paying 10 million naira to an NDC account. Dixon himself had said aspirants should not pay at the expression of interest stage. The NDC has still not directly addressed whether that specific collection was within its INEC-registered fee schedule. Okonkwo may have been relegated to the veranda. He may be regarded within the Atiku camp as a useful but disposable attack vector. He may face a defamation judgment that costs him significantly. But the 10 million naira payment is confirmed, the payment authorization chain is disputed, and the NDC's silence on the institutional question, not the personal one, is the gap that matters for 2027. Now, if what I just told you surprises you, drop a comment below. I want to know your reaction before we get to the part that changes everything. Valentina Obienyi wrote this week, "Does Okonkwo think that going by his earlier stings of Alhaji Atiku, Atiku would ever believe in him?" That is a precise question. Before Okonkwo attacked Obi, he attacked Atiku. He called Atiku corrupt. He said Atiku was not fit for president. He said all of this on television, on record, during the 2023 campaign when he was working for Obi. And now he's at Atiku's house, on the veranda. The people inside that house have not forgotten those earlier statements. The veranda is not accidental, it is architectural. What this means for ordinary Nigerians. At first glance, this story looks like elite political drama. Two politicians fighting, another politician embarrassed at a house visit. It is easy to dismiss it as noise, but it is actually a story about how political capital is built and destroyed in Nigeria's opposition space. And that matters for every Nigerian who is hoping that 2027 produces a genuine alternative to the current administration. The Obi-NDC project needs a credible, clean campaign that does not give its opponents ammunition. The veranda incident is ammunition for NDC supporters, but not because of Okonkwo's embarrassment, but because it reveals that the attack campaign against Obi is being funded and directed by a political operation that does not trust the person it is using to run it. That is a useful thing for NDC supporters to understand as they evaluate the source of the bribery allegations. The Atiku-ADC project needs a Southeast strategy that is credible to Igbo voters. A visible Igbo figure publicly attacking another Igbo presidential candidate on behalf of a Fulani former vice president and sitting on the veranda while that former vice president meets with senior figures inside is not a Southeast strategy. It is a Southeast liability. For ordinary Nigerians watching from Aba, Enugu, Onitsha, or in the UK and US diaspora, the question is not who wins this particular media cycle. The question is which opposition project is building something durable and which one is consuming itself with factional warfare before a single vote has been cast. The political no man's land. There is one dimension of this story that deserves a direct and sober statement. Kenneth Okonkwo served Peter Obi faithfully for 3 years. He gave his public profile, his credibility, and his media skills to a candidacy that many Nigerians believed in and still believe in. His decision to leave that project, to attack it, and to attach himself to a rival camp is his right in a democracy. But the cost of that choice is now visible. His former allies describe him as a man without a political home. His current allies have given him a veranda, and his most damaging attack on his former principal, the bribery allegation, has been partially undercut by the very source he cited. That is not a comfortable political position, and it is a cautionary signal for every political operative in Nigeria who mistakes media visibility for political leverage. What to watch? Watch whether Okonkwo retracts within the 7-day deadline. The deadline from Obi's lawyers expires this week. If he does not, the case is filed and the legal process begins. If he does, the story cycle closes, but the veranda video does not disappear. Watch the NDC's response to the fee collection question. until the party addresses whether the 10 million naira collection from Ohaegbu was within its INEC-registered fee schedule, the institutional credibility gap stays open, regardless of the lawsuit outcome. Watch Okonkwo's positioning inside the ADC over the next 30 days. If he is given a formal, senior role in the Atiku campaign structure, it suggests the Veranda was a seating arrangement, not a signal. If he remains on the periphery, deployed for media attacks but excluded from strategic decisions, the Veranda was a signal. And watch the Southeast response to this entire episode. The Igbo community's political calculation in 2027, whether to consolidate behind Obi, split between Obi and Atiku, or disengage entirely, will be significantly shaped by whether figures like Okonkwo are seen as principled critics or, as his former colleagues are now publicly saying, as instruments of someone else's agenda. The Veranda video is not just an embarrassing moment for one politician. It is a precise visual summary of how political alliances work in Nigeria when loyalty is transactional. Okonkwo left a presidential candidate who gave him his national profile. He attacked that candidate with insider knowledge. He delivered the most damaging allegation yet against that candidate on national television. He threatened to disclose privileged information if sued. He laughed publicly at the lawsuit, and then he sat on the veranda. The people inside that house, the people who will make decisions about running mates, cabinet appointment and campaign strategy, they know what Okonkwo said about Atiku in 2023. They know he is a man who has demonstrated that he will attack his closest political ally when it serves his interests. That knowledge does not earn a chair at the table. It earns a place on the veranda. Valentine Obieniem's description of Okonkwo as being in a political no-man's land, distrusted by those he abandoned and regarded with suspicion by those he now seeks to please, is the accurate analytical frame. In Nigerian political culture, a man who has publicly attacked two of the three major presidential candidates, Atiku and Obi, and is now serving the one he attacked most viciously, occupies a position of tactical utility and strategic distrust. He is used for what he is good at, making noise. He is not trusted with what matters, making decisions. What this story tells ordinary Nigerians is simple. Political credibility is not built by attacking people. It is built by building something. Okonkwo built something with Peter Obi in 2023. He chose to dismantle it. What he is building now is visible in the video. Make of that what you will. If this analysis gave you clarity, share it with one person who needs to understand what is really happening in Nigeria. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.